Good morning, YouTube. I am going to talk a little bit about voting. I am distracted though. However, my 17-year-old dog had a seizure, I'm pretty sure, this morning. He seems to still be a little bit disoriented, but other than that is okay, I suppose. He's an old dog. He's part husky, and I think he may be part collie. He could have some wolf blood in him. Really, we don't know, but he's a pretty dog, and he's pretty old. So there's that, and I'm not going to be doing any of my like loud or distracting or anything like that stuff today because I want to kind of keep it nice and calm for him. He's never been one of those like super loving, like lying at your feet dogs. So he's currently hanging out in my boys' room and just hanging out. In fact, after he had the seizure this morning, he was caught so off guard that he didn't even try to move. I picked him up because he's only 40 pounds to move him to the dog bed. And at that point, he was like, yeah, I never sleep on this dog bed, so I'm not going to sleep on it now. And he kind of walked away and went and laid down. So we'll see what happens. A couple months ago, I lost my cat. I mentioned this, and my animals, those two are just they're just older animals. They've had good long lives. It's still a little sad, and there's not anything I can do other than to just make him comfortable. So, the thing I did want to talk about today is the vote. Today, I believe, is the last round of the primaries, if Derek and Romaine can be believed. So they were talking about that. I do know that the person that all of the news has said is the presumptive Democratic nominee for president is going to be Hillary Clinton. However, if I'm looking at the numbers correctly, if Bernie were to actually take a lot of the primaries today, so California, New Mexico, and some other places that I haven't been paying as much attention to, then theoretically it could be a contested convention if he could also get the super delegates to switch sides. Now, I will say that when all of this started, I was really impressed with Bernie Sanders. I really liked that he was not playing your typical political game and calling names or going after Hillary in the way that you've seen Trump go after other people in his party. It felt like he was kind of rising above it, trying to be above it, and not kowtowing, I guess, to what is considered uh, part of the game. I guess it's hard to explain, and as I explained, I'm a little bit distracted here, but so I will say that I've been disappointed recently, and it's not so much in Bernie, although there is some disappointment there. But I'm actually really disappointed in the way his supporters have been behaving because I've heard and read quite a few people who claim to be Bernie supporters who were saying, "Oh, it's all a conspiracy," and the establishment is set up in order to make sure that he doesn't win. And I will say that the election in Arizona was very weird. The fact that they had, you know, so few polling places in such a large metro area. Um, and there were some additional discrepancies for the polls in New York. But unless somebody complains, which I think somebody did about New York, not so much about Arizona, then those results are going to stand, and they both went to Hillary. Um, Having Bernie supporters say things along the lines of, I'll vote for Trump before I vote for Hillary, is crazy talk to me because when it comes down to all, at least for me, when it comes down to all of the things that they're planning on doing, whether you're looking at Bernie or Hillary, their differences actually weren't that great. The big thing that Bernie had going for him is he's outside of your norm, right? He's outside the establishments, have been in high politics for a long time. He's been active for a very long time. He seems to have been very consistent in his positions versus Hillary, who seems to have changed her mind on a few things. And I don't have a problem with somebody changing their mind as they get new information. I actually think that says a lot about a person. Um, In fact, I believe it was in 2008 when John Kerry was running and people were calling him a flip flop. Well, you know what? I changed my mind too. And I change my mind when I get new information. So as I'm getting new information, that's the route that I'm going to go. Um, so it looks like Trump is the Republican nominee, and it looks like it's probably going to be Clinton as the Democratic nominee. It looks like we'll have Gary Johnson as the independent nominee. I believe there's a woman running for the Green Party, although I have not caught her name. I probably will not vote for Green. Um, I've got some issues with Johnson, so I'm not going to vote for him either. I'm absolutely not going to vote for Trump. After the So let me rewind a little bit. The things that are really important to me when it comes to our government are um, that people need to have access to health resources. It's just that simple, and it doesn't even have to specifically be abortion. But I think that that's one of the things that people need to be able to access safely. Um, it's all preventative health, and if you want to make it about money, then the numbers crunch the numbers and you will see that preventative health care actually makes a lot more sense versus waiting until things are really bad and people are either dying or they're going to the ER, they're having to go to urgent care, that type of thing, or they're just not getting health care at all until an ambulance has to be called, and then now we're talking a whole lot of money, right? Prevention is it's super important, and it's one of the reasons that I'm trying to get into better health. I don't want to die before my son has children. And since I don't intend for him, or I'm hoping that he doesn't have children, when he's 15, that means I need to be around for probably another 20 years, maybe 30, depending on what he wants to do with his life. Um, so prevention is really important. I think women's rights are really important. Um, Women not getting paid at the same wages as people who are doing the same job that have an opposing gender doesn't make a lot of sense. I had a professor who said that she believed the discrepancy is due to women having trouble with negotiations as far as being assertive, because there's a really fine line, right, where like, are you assertive or are you a bitch? And it kind of sucks that there's that line, but it exists. Now, I'm fortunate to work at an industry where the pay grade is very standardized, so the money I'm making is equivalent to other people who have the same years of experience, and that's because I'm a teacher. And so they have this nice little schedule set up that says, how many years have you done? What are you doing? Or where are you? What are you teaching? That kind of stuff. And okay, this is what you're making. This is what your license qualifies you for. So there isn't a discrepancy there, but I know that discrepancies exist in other industries. Um, so women's rights, access to health care. I also think so. Basically, I am a libertarian, right? I think that whatever you're doing, you do it, you rock it, as long as you're not hurting other people. Okay? And this actually brings me to why I'm a liberal versus why I'm a Democrat. Or, sorry, versus why I'm a Republican or a more conservative person. Um, while I think that people should be entitled to do what they want when they want, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, I also recognize that there are people who cannot defend themselves for various reasons, and I think that there are people who will take advantage of them, and they will say, well, I wasn't hurting them technically, or because the person doesn't know how to complain, because they don't know how to advocate, they're getting hurt, and this is not acceptable. All right, and you hear, yeah, that's one of my favorite phrases. Anyway, um, and I don't think that Trump is going to be able to do those things. I don't think that Gary Johnson is going to be able to do those things. And frankly, although I like Bernie and I did cast my vote for him today, I'm not sure that Bernie could actually get a whole lot changed because he seems to be incredibly divisive at the moment. And so, if he were to actually get the nomination and then he were to actually become president, both very long shots at this point, I don't think he could get Congress to work with him. I really don't. I think there would be so many people on both sides of the aisle that are just like, nope, nope, we're not going to do it. And nothing would get done. So, I mean, yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that's what I have to say. If you are in a state that's voting today, please go out and vote. The vote for your presidential nominee is not the only thing that's on the ballot. On the ballots in New Mexico, you also had votes for your district and state representatives. You had votes for the judges. Um, Things all along those lines. So it is important for you to get out, make your voice heard. I'm hearing people say, "Well, the the vote's already decided. We have a presumptive nominee, and so what's the point?" And the point is that's not the only thing on the ballot. So get out there and make your voice heard. It's important. Um, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that little comic. It was like a little single panel editorial cartoon type thing, and it showed all these people, and then like this much of them were the people who were voting, and then this much over here were saying, oh, there's no point in us voting because one vote doesn't matter. Well, a lot of people saying one vote doesn't matter actually makes a lot of votes that could matter if people were out voting. So get out and vote. All right, it's just that simple. And honestly, it took me 5 minutes. I'm really lucky. Apparently, some of the lines in California are a bit longer, but here in New Mexico, I went to my local polling place. I was in and out 5 minutes. It was no big deal. It was really nice. It was really fast. If you wait till after work, that's probably not going to be the case. So if you can take a quick lunch break that's outside of the normal lunch break hours and get to a polling place, do it. They do have completely open polling, so you don't have to report to a specific location in order to vote. Um, yeah, do it. If you haven't voted already, get out there and do it. I hope that you're registered. Unfortunately, if you're not registered, you're not going to be able to vote today. However, I did receive this cool little slip when I went into my polling place, and it's got like a little website. And so if I want to change my registration, if I need to update my address, anything like that, I can do it all online now instead of actually having to um, figure out where the local anything is. Right? I can just do it online. And I am an advocate for making things easier to get, right? Real quick, we know that providing easy access, free access to birth control reduces abortion rates. Um, yeah, the fewer excuses that people have for not being able to do something, the more likely they are to do it. Okay? All right, that is the Fat Health Teacher for today. I will see you later, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.